to Let's Grapple episode 6 on the Too Sweet Cosplay YouTube channel. Just wanted to say thank you all for a wonderful last 2 weeks, or well, it was actually the span of 1 week last week. Last Sunday we had the WWE Cosplay Day 7 photo shoot at Anime Central. A couple days later on Saturday, so kind of rounding out the week, we had the AEW Double or Nothing watch party at Pork Chop South Loop. I thank the restaurant of Pork Chop for letting us host the event. I appreciate all of you who attended the event. It was a lot of fun. The pay-per-view was great. We're going to show some clips a little later in this episode. But starting off, I wanted to actually start it off with a viewer-submitted question. It's from Sean Taisler. He submitted it on Facebook, and he's a photo shoot regular. He cosplayed as Wolfpack Steen at our cosplay photo shoot last Sunday. So I'm going to get to his question, and that's going to kind of be the theme of the episode. So it was from the John Oliver. John Oliver, basically, the segment I think is on Last Week Tonight on HBO. He discussed the independent contract status in wrestling and just like all the problems with the injuries, people dying early on, things like that. There is no denial that we do see some wrestlers die as early as in their 40s. We've seen some die, I think, in their 20s, 30s. Then even some pass away as in their 60s, which that could be up for debate on a longevity. There's been some, tragic deaths, some that would end earlier than if you were to do a different profession. So the interview, I would say John Oliver did bring up a lot of good points. It's very tough. They're demanded. The wrestlers are all demanded a lot, and there might be some cases where Vince McMahon himself may, not be as compassionate towards others of their health statuses and things like that. So there certainly are issues with that. Actually, Eric Bischoff in The Big Show, obviously Eric Bischoff ran WCW. He's worked in TNA. He was an on-air GM authority on Monday Night Raw in the 2000s, as well as pro wrestler The Big Show. They did interviews kind of reacting to John Oliver's statements, and they said that they don't mind the independent contract status. Eric Bischoff kind of compares it to getting a career as a rock star, and he says he made good money through it, he enjoyed it, there's better opportunities. And then The Big Show himself said that going in, he kind of knew that these kind of injuries would happen in the wrestling career, and he has sustained some of those injuries. However, he has no regrets doing wrestling. He's enjoyed it. He's enjoying life, and he has appreciated all that he's gone through within the WWE and the opportunities it has brought him. There's other individuals who weren't as fortunate, and we've seen lawsuits in regards to that. I don't remember how many people exactly sued the WWE a couple years back, but I know the Demolition were a part of it. Earl Hebner, the referee, was a part of it. Former wrestling manager Slick was a part of it. You can go through the list, and you'll see that there were several people who did want to sue the WWE and get kind of some reimbursements for the injuries that they sustained in the past years. And yeah, it is very tragic. So there definitely is some negatives to the independent contract status. And we've seen the likes of Kamala and Jake the Snake Roberts start GoFundMes or even fans themselves will start these GoFundMe or crowdsourcing fundraisers where they will raise funds to help pay for medical bills for these wrestlers, as they sustained several throughout their decades. And unfortunately, the WWE or any other professional wrestling association doesn't really provide solid retirement plans or health care plans while they are under contract. And it's even worse when these wrestlers either choose to leave the wrestling professions, or they in fact just get fired from those organizations. So that stuff is very tragic. And I know that in the past also, in addition to that, the injuries lawsuit, I remember it was Raven, Mike Sanders, former WCW superstar, and the late Canyon all teamed up to try to do a lawsuit to kind of do away with the independent contract status. So the WWE employs these wrestlers, but unlike other organizations such as Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, New Japan, they don't allow the other wrestlers to go into other promotions. If you're wrestling for WWE, you're only going to wrestle for WWE, whether it's the Raw brand, NXT, SmackDown, 205 Live. You're only going to be on WWE programming. You're not going to appear in ROH, AEW. You won't appear in that. And, there's some good and bad to that. But really quickly, going back, despite the lawsuit efforts and some solid arguments brought up by Raven, Mike Sanders, and Canyon, they ended up losing the lawsuit. So nothing has changed. It's been that way for 30 plus years within the WWE. They kind of they mark you as an independent contractor, but they don't provide insurance, they don't provide retirement plans, and they won't let you work for other wrestling promotions despite being an independent contractor. That being said, there's issues when they do this stuff. You do see some great matches with ROH and New Japan's Talent Exchange. You'll see the Bullet Club appear in Ring of Honor. You'll see various Ring of Honor talents come over to New Japan and compete over there to show off the talents. It's a nice talent exchange. However, for example, the recent AEW pay-per-view, Pac, who is also the Dragon Gate champion in Dragon Gate USA, had an issue appearing at last week's Double or Nothing. So what happened was that I guess he's had a bit of an undefeated streak within Dragon Gate, and there's conflicting stories. Some have said that Dragon Gate was behind Pac not coming to the pay-per-view. They say that, we don't want him to lose a match clean. We got to have that. We got to have him win the match against Heyman Page. Meanwhile, AEW didn't want to do any 30-minute draws or have a DQ victory on their first pay-per-view. They just didn't want to do that. Hence, they had that show in Nottingham, England, and Heyman Page did get a win, but it was by DQ due to Pac attacking the referee. So it's up in the air if Pac will ever wrestle for AEW. Supposed leaked card says he may be at the Fyter Fest at next month. However, that kind of throws a wrench into things. That's kind of why the WWE makes sure these talents will just strictly work for them. They won't do these exchanges because things like that will happen. Pac was very hyped for the Double or Nothing pay-per-view against Heyman Page that was built up at their first press conference for AEW announcing all that stuff. So it kind of does have those issues like that. So I could see it from both ends of the spectrum. You just gotta kind of lay down the laws. So that's kind of how I feel in that part. However, I do think that they should offer insurance to these wrestlers, health benefits and such. If there's injuries, the WWE can use some of their budget to help pay for some of their medical bills. If there's some freak accidents outside of the ring, whether they chose to get in a fight with somebody, or just something really crazy happens, and maybe to those degrees the WWE can't pay for everything, but I'd say definitely for injuries within the ring and during their television programs or house shows, they definitely should pay some of those benefits, I would say. I think that would be very beneficial to the superstars that are employed within the company. Now, going on to the next topic, this has been a widely debated issue. I've seen this in various forums, Facebook groups, so forth. Everyone asks and even suggests that wrestling should have an off season similar to the NFL, similar to Major League Baseball. All those sports have an off season, and people say, why not WWE? They have enough talent to go all year round. These superstars can use some rest and breaks, may help with the creative end of things. I do get that stuff. I certainly do. The problem is that these standards, kind of like with the whole independent contract status, has been in place for 30 plus years again. WCW never had an off season. I don't really know any other wrestling promotion who does have that. I know that Impact kind of gives their wrestlers a break because they'll tape anywhere from 1 month to even 2 months of television shows filmed in the course of 1 week versus spreading it out week to week like the WWE would do. Even NXT, to a degree, they'll do a month worth of shows in 1 week, and then a month later they'll do another month worth of shows, and so forth. I mean, it's cool that they do that, and it's nice for the breaks. However, things will happen in those periods for Impact and even NXT where a superstar will get released right even before the first episode of those tapings will air. You'll see, I remember they've had episodes of Impact where Samoa Joe was still wrestling with them, and then a week later you'd see him in NXT after he departed Impact Wrestling, and he's wrestling in NXT. It's silly things like that will happen, and but as far as them regularly doing the off season, I think there's too much money being made now that would make it so hard for them to actually make an off season. I don't think that's possible now to do. I mean, would it be nice? Yeah, absolutely. I think that these wrestlers should get rest. Guys like Roman Reigns will be on more than one show a week. I think that'd be nice if these wrestlers can get more of a break. However, I'll get into that more in a moment. The only way I could really see it being possible is if they did something like they have a Raw perform January through July, and January through June, just kind of splitting it up with 6-month intervals. They'll do Raw from January through June, SmackDown brand July through December, and then maybe they could do a draft within the January, early January, maybe late December, kind of do a trade, kind of like the NFL will do it. They'll do a draft. That's the only way I could seriously see that being possible. However, like I mentioned with Roman Reigns working all these extra dates now, I don't think it would work out for the networks. I don't think Fox or USA Network would want that. I think they want these stars on the show. That's kind of why they created this whole wild card rule. Roman Reigns is now on Raw and SmackDown every week. You'll see other superstars on every week. It almost feels like Elias is on every week. Drew McIntyre recently just worked Raw and SmackDown this week. R-Truth, your 24/7 champion, which I may get into a little later, is now on Raw and SmackDown weekly. So with the bigger names, these networks want them to appear on their shows. I don't think that they can do a Raw half of the year and SmackDown the other half, and I think that because of the business they make, being a sport or sports entertainment, being all year round, I think it's going to be impossible for them to ever want to pursue an off season. I don't know how many other promotions would be willing to. I know that AEW is looking into ways to giving these talents a break, but it's not easy. I can't really imagine it ever happening on a regular basis for WWE. One thing I could suggest is maybe less house shows. It kind of sucks for the towns that may not get all these WWE televised events. I know there's plenty of people across the states who don't get to see WWE too often in their town. So even if it is like a small house show, a SmackDown house show, or a Raw house show, they'll take advantage and go to those shows because they don't get to see the televised shows in their town. Chicago is very privileged. We're getting the Survivor Series this year. We're getting NXT TakeOver. We've had Raw earlier this year. We'll get house shows. I mean, there's no shortage of WWE live events in Chicago. However, these other states will have that problem. But personally, I always thought it was silly for them to do like a SmackDown taping, not a taping, but a SmackDown live event during a televised Raw, or a live event Raw during a televised SmackDown. I think cutting little corners like that would help them significantly give some of these superstars breaks. I do know that these stars can take time off from the house shows, whether it's to do their own conventions or go on a family vacation. That's really all you can do. You can't take all year off or take a half year off. It's kind of hard for WWE to do that. So I personally don't see it ever happening. I'm okay if it doesn't. I mean, there's various ways they can keep the show fresh without having to take an off season, my personal opinion. With the AEW, we had a watch party last Saturday. It was a very fun time. Everyone brought their enthusiasm. The AEW show was fantastic. Loved the Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes match. I thought it was great. Very bloody, very entertaining. Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, by no surprise, was excellent. The debut of Jon Moxley, showing that Dean Ambrose really is no more in WWE for now. And the rise of Jon Moxley in AEW is a theme. It's great. There was a lot of great matches. Very enthusiastic environment, like I said. I can't say it much myself, so I'm going to let these clips show you what was done. I'll speak a little more in a bit.
We matter!
I know!
Thank you, Pork Chop. Thank you, Pork Chop.
Yeah, so that was the AEW Double or Nothing watch party at Pork Chop South Loop. If you all went there, I thank you very much for doing so. The announcement of All Out coming back to the Sears Center in Hoffman Estates is excellent news. You could see the enthusiasm of everyone at the bar when they made that announcement on TV. It was great stuff. If you want to see more watch parties in the future or be a part of them, we're looking into doing some more in the future. I can't make any announcements right now. However, if you liked it, let us know what you think. If you have any suggestions on what we can do to improve, let us know. We definitely are always trying to do watch parties, cosplay gatherings, and other fun things within Too Sweet Cosplay. It's always a great time, so yeah, definitely come check out one of our events if you ever have a chance to. And the final topic I'm going to discuss is the WWE 24/7 Championship, because I didn't really get much time to last week. We were on a hiatus due to Double or Nothing predictions. We're hoping to do more of a group show. It was just me and Nico. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Nico, thank you for coming on to the show and doing the predictions with me. So yeah, we are looking into doing a group show called Too Sweet Converse, or Too Sweet Cosplay Converse. When we're going to have a full admin show, I'm not sure yet, but it's definitely in the works and definitely something we've been talking about, so stay tuned. And also, I'm on my buddy Drew DeSocio's podcast over on the Ringside roster. It's called Wrestling on the Go. I'm hoping to get a podcast recorded with him again soon this week. Crazy schedules get busy, and then of course you have your full-time jobs, so that gets in the way. If I could do wrestling discussion and post cosplay photos for a living, I totally would, but that's to be seen one day, maybe. So the topic we're going to discuss at hand is the WWE 24/7 title. I'm going to be brief with my thoughts. It is like the hardcore title from back in the Attitude Era. It's, brought into PG levels because of the ratings and stuff. So it's a fun concept. It's at least giving lower card guys such as R-Truth, Titus O'Neil, those likes, the likes of those superstars, EC3, unfortunately, poor guy. They all get a chance to finally have some fun in the sun, a little wackiness and randomness on both shows here and there with everyone chasing R-Truth around for the title. And on tonight's episode of SmackDown, as of this recording, Elias did defeat R-Truth for the not the hardcore title. He defeated him for the 24/7 title. However, after the tag team match of R-Truth and Roman Reigns versus Elias and Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns won the match for them, and he gave Elias a spear and helped R-Truth gain the title back. I'm hoping for some more wackiness. I'd like to see some titles change over the WWE social media. I hope their YouTube will do breaking news. We just got a title change, or even see that stuff on the WWE Network or Facebook, you name it. I think that'd be a little nice touch to the title. I'm sure the hardcore title would have done stuff like that back in the day if Facebook and YouTube were around. Yeah, and the title, it's ugly looking, there's no doubt about that. The green strap, I make jokes saying that Braun Strowman just threw his belt in the garbage, and then that's what came out, the 24/7 championship. But it's a fun concept, a little cheesy, but it's something different to do right now, so I can't complain. Anyways, that's a wrap for this show. If you want to have your question answered on the next episode, use hashtag AskStevo, and you can send a question to any of the Too Sweet Cosplay social media, be it Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. when I do make this video a post. You can find it on those social media channels. Make sure I'm willing to accept 2 questions at a time as long as they're appropriate and work for the show. They could be wrestling related, they could be nerd topics, whether it's conventions, cosplay, video games, or movies. But keep it a question that really hasn't been answered, and just something that could be fun and discussion worthy. So once again, use hashtag AskStevo, and I will try to answer the questions in the next episode. Thank you all for watching Let's Grapple. I hope you have a great week. NXT 25 or NXT TakeOver 25 is this coming Saturday. We have WWE Super Showdown next Friday. So it's like non-stop wrestling, and I believe the week after, or at least the Sunday after that week, there's going to be the WWE Stomping Grounds pay-per-view. So there's no shortage of wrestling pay-per-views. It feels like we've had so many. We just had Double or Nothing. We've had Money in the Bank. And now we got those shows coming up. So it's going to be a busy week. I'll be posting more cosplay. Oh, and if there is any cosplay you'd like featured on a future episode of Let's Grapple, like a certain cosplay topic, please feel free to shoot suggestions to me as well on those. Thank you very much. Too sweet, my friends, and have a great evening.